Welcome to another episode of Bringing Down the Grindhouse, a podcast where we discuss horror in media. And today we'll be talking about Castlevania.
Yeah!
Yeah! Get excited, pumped! Oh yeah! You want to start Castlevania?
My vampires!
My vampires!
My holy fucking powers!
Now we've got you for 1 hour! 1 hour of playtime!
Ah, yes, welcome to WrestleMania.
Yes, welcome to... I don't know why I'm doing a WrestleMania bit. I just got really into it. I'm Mitch.
I'm Mur.
And I'm Jonathan.
Castlevania is fucking dope.
It is.
And it just grew in popularity within like the last 10 years if you weren't a kid from the fucking 80s.
Or like late 90s.
Or late 90s-ish.
Yeah, I mean, the game originally was on, was it the NES?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Nintendo Entertainment System in, the 80s?
86. Developed by Konami, released under Nintendo.
Yep.
And Castlevania would go on to spawn a whole list of other games alongside Metroid and whatnot, and that's where you get the term, was it Metroidvania type games?
Yeah, it started as a side-scroller in the wakes of, like, Mario, but it had a different thing. It was to appeal to people who like horror movies and religious-type demons and vampires and just lore of just dark supernatural shit.
Yeah, it was pretty violent by contrast to all the other kids' games that were coming out.
An interesting thing about the first Castlevania is that it was really just like, you are this vampire hunter, you're going to Dracula's castle to kill Dracula, and here are all of these 50s movie monsters for you to fight. They had like... I think there was a Wolfman, there's a Frankenstein, there's
the mummy.
There's a mummy, there's a Medusa, there's a whole bunch of different monsters, and they were all very classic monsters too for the first game, so it was pretty simply done, whatnot.
The first game was very challenging though, because it wasn't really refined. The jump diameter or whatever the jump distance is what people really complain about, and the knockback. Whenever you get hit, you're knocked back. If you're platforming on ledges and trying to kill the fucking gremlins, because fuck those fucking gremlins. They're so small, their hitbox sucks, and you gotta crouch and fucking hit them with your whatever.
Yeah, I mean, Castlevania had really tried to play along with its difficulty, played into the idea that it was a horror game for that time period by making the world actually very dangerous to you, such as you getting knocked back, such as you being put in situations where death is really close all the time. As opposed to things like Mario, where it's kind of like, you know, it has like this ascension in difficulty, whereas Castlevania is just hard all the way through.
It was hard, but it wasn't unfair.
No.
Like, you were able to figure out, like, patterns for most of the attacks that were happening, so you could find your way across all of the maps if you could figure out that pattern. And that's sort of like, it was just rewarding the person for really paying attention to the game.
Yeah, the game is... like you said, tough but fair. They have patterns that you could follow, and then you would have to follow through and try to remember them.
It was like Mega Man.
At the same time, though, yeah, and just like Mega Man, you have a boss fight at the end. And the best part about it, they even reference this in the show, though, that we'll talk about later, is that, like, you'll fight a boss in, like, the first level or their second level, and then they'll just be, like, secondary monsters on your way to, like, the fourth or fifth person. They become essentially just like mobs before you would attack them as full-on fucking bosses. Do you know anything about the second game?
You know what? Not really.
Mitch does.
That was oh my god, what the hell is the name of the character from that one? Is it? It's not. It's
Castlevania 2: Simon's Quest.
Simon. Yeah, it's Simon. Simon is one of the more iconic heroes from Castlevania, and in Simon's Quest, which is Castlevania 2, they tried to do an RPG sort of shtick on the Castlevania titles. So they went on to where you had NPCs, you had a town to go to, then you had like your exploration areas, and it kind of came out the same time around like as like Zelda 2, like the second Zelda game came out, which is, if you didn't know, is very unpopular. It wasn't. A lot of people bitched that it was a lot of grinding, and it wasn't the worst Castlevania game. Like, people enjoyed the concept, but it was lukewarm at best.
Oh, I thought you were like, fuck Legend of Zelda.
Yeah, no. Legend of Zelda 2 is like notoriously a bad Zelda game.
I love that.
Yeah.
I agree with this, but the thing is, you're 100% right. With sequels, they wanted to like try to do something different.
Yeah.
And so Castlevania 2 came out a year later after Castlevania 1 because of the success of it. And here's the biggest problem. Do you guys remember? I don't know if we weren't born anywhere near this time, but Nintendo Power. The video game
I remember
magazine.
Nintendo Power. Like kids at my school had that.
You're old.
We're both 29.
Yeah, dude. Like I still,
I'm young.
I had a Nintendo 64 when it came out.
There's one right there
actually,
in front of you.
My bad. I totally forgot that Nintendo Power would go on to like make shit for the Nintendo 64. But they were trying to sell fucking Nintendo Power like crack to kids. And so Castlevania Simon's Quest had all these fucking crazy ass cryptic things that you would have to follow. Because they also have the day and night cycle.
Yeah, that was another thing about it. During
the day, you are able to kill enemies very easily. You're able to talk to NPCs and buy stuff.
Sounds super familiar.
And when it turns to night, enemies are 4 times stronger.
Fuck.
The shops are all closed, so you can't get healing items, and you're just miserable. The mobs respawn always. That's a thing with Castlevania. If you leave the screen and you go back to the screen, the mobs all come back.
Yeah, you don't just kill them and like you're able to clear the area.
So the biggest cryptic thing, and the thing we gotta talk about, like the music in all these games is phenomenal, 100%. And
they use that sound chip to the max.
Yeah, they use all 4 or 5 tracks.
I feel like it was more. Wasn't it more than just 4?
No, not songs, tracks. As in, they have gotcha.
They
have a pattern that they use.
Yeah,
so they have a snare drum, a melody, a bass, and that's pretty much it.
That's enough. It worked.
The biggest cryptic thing was when you're trying to clear an area. You had to stand in a certain corner of the map for up to 5 seconds, and then you would also have to go underneath a waterfall for like a minute and kneel in this one corner or some shit. And then you would get teleported by a cyclone that would take you to the next spot of the map. Kids in the 80s were fucking furious because they're trying to figure out this cryptic ass shit, and you know who got that shit? Your friend with the Nintendo Power subscription. He beat Castlevania 2, not you because you're poor.
Thanks, capitalism.
But yeah.
After Simon's Quest, you'd get a whole bunch of other Castlevanias that would kind of return to formula here. I can't name all the names. There's so many fucking Castlevania games. Like it goes
it's like
way
the Final
back.
Fantasy series.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. Yeah, there's like just so many renditions of it. But they would go more to a return to form where you kind of have like different items, different heroes doing it. In a few of these games, a lot of the heroes that are in the show we'll be talking about shortly are also in these games. So Sypha and Trevor and Alucard are all characters that are playable in the Castlevania series at one point or another.
I would argue that the first 4 games are what people care about alongside Symphony of the Night and Aria of Sorrow for the Game Boy Advance.
Symphony of the Night has been mentioned by so many top 10 lists of how like all of these great games that someone had played, and it's almost always on there.
The reason why I think is because Castlevania was such a beloved series, especially because of the first one and what it meant for just like gaming in general. And so because of that difficulty and whatnot, and then also the innovation that was attempted during that time with its RPG elements, they really like took those ideas from that previous game and then put them into this current one, or at least put them into Symphony of Night, and that's what gained its popularity. They did it better.
Symphony of Night is like that game that everyone will drool over until the end of time. And like you said, the mechanics of the game. In Castlevania 3, you had 3 characters that you could choose from, Sypha and Alucard being one of them. And in Castlevania 4, you were able to whip in 8 directions, which was fucking awesome.
Hell yeah.
And if you ask, I'm going to be honest, if you ask what's my favorite Castlevania game, it's 4. But going back to that, Symphony of the Night was, like you said, where Metroid basically and Castlevania like had a baby. That's why they call them Metroidvania games. Because you are able to explore an area, get power-ups, and level up your character, as well as have save points throughout the dungeon that you're exploring.
I played a lot of Metroid, too. It was a lot of fun. That was like the things to play. I think I still have it, like a Game Boy version of it that I would play, and that was like one of the best games.
That one's so great.
Yeah.
I remember it's like you're trying to basically like open up this entire space station and then destroy the Metroid within it.
Yeah.
But you have multiple save spots and you get a bunch of fucking power-ups.
You get upgrades to your suit.
It's super badass.
Yeah. It was great.
But in Symphony of the Night, the main character is Alucard. He is a badass. The only problem is that death takes away his powers in the beginning of the game. So you were like one-shotting giant-ass wolves in the beginning of the game like fucking nothing, and then you run into death, and he's like, nah, fuck you.
I feel like God of War did something similar. You start the game with like max level, and then they like strip everything away, and then you have to play the entire game to get everything back. That's like how the first one starts.
I haven't played any of the God of War games.
They're worth the time.
And they are.
The first three are just going to be like a really linear storyline, and then the fourth one is this crazy open world that you can go through.
And you have a kid.
Yeah. His name is Boy.
My son, Boy, will accompany us.
Also, Flippy Castle. Woo!
Flippy.
Yeah. So if you get halfway through Castlevania, you were pretty much done with the entire dungeon, and then they flip the entire map upside down. So everything that you would fall into, you now have to climb. Staircases become slides. It's really fun.
That sounds like a nightmare on making a game, though, where you had to just like reverse flip everything that you've done. Or maybe it's a little easier than I think.
It might actually simplify it a little bit, honestly. It might have been a shortcut for them because they're like, well, our funds are getting lower. We have a bunch of recycled monsters we just put in there.
Fucking flip it.
Just flip it. Just flip it over and just get the programmers to put the guys in the thing. It'll be fine. Jim, it's going to be okay. Jim, my name's Yang. Like, I don't know.
Before, like, I'd say last year, I 100% completed Symphony of the Night.
Dang.
100% items and pretty much not on a time basis. Fuck no, that timer went to 900,99999 because I was having so much fun just exploring and taking my time with it. But the powers in that game, because the Netflix series is inspired by Castlevania 3 because you have 3 different characters, and also Symphony of the Night because Dracula's castle and your Alucard, and the powers an Alucard has in the game are showcased in the story as well.
Yeah.
He turns into a wolf. He has a mist form. He could do all kinds of shit.
They even took some of those ideas and put them into movies about Dracula later on, one of which we already talked about, the Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Oh, what do they do?
Where he has like the mist form and the other things. They took those ideas from these games.
It's influential.
Yeah, they really like the idea of Dracula having other forms on film, so they took that idea and basically made it like a Dracula or a Castlevania game come to life with some versions of those. They just didn't have the other characters, but it was definitely based around the Dracula character you saw there.
That's pretty dope. And that's the thing, like with the media of like just vampires in general, they got a buff from Castlevania and the lore that they provided.
Yeah.
In the older games, or like I think the newer games, they were bringing in the lore from the actual Bram Stoker's novel.
Yeah,
which gets exactly like super fucking complicated across all the Game Boy games. I don't even want to explain it. There's a wiki page somewhere. Go look at it.
Wikis always surprise me with how much information is there. And I'm just like, where did you even get this info from?
Where are these people getting? Where are they doing all this?
Like, I looked at the wiki the other day for Avatar because we were watching Avatar: Last Airbender, like everybody else is on Netflix. And I was like, all right, I want to find out more about Kyoshi and like the Avatar Kyoshi. And I looked up stuff, and there's so much info like on her family, like where her dad was born, her grandpa. I was like, God, where is this info available? And the same thing happens with the fucking Castlevania. You go and look at it, and there's all these extra characters that are there and involved. And I'm just like, I don't think I've ever seen them in a game or something. Was it like in a text thing?
There is a character in your third season of Castlevania. There's the Bard. I just call him the Bard. I forget his name all the time, but he's the fucking Bard. He's the guy that like infiltrates the temple and whatnot, and wants to go like be with his beloved in like an alternate dimension, basically.
Oh yeah.
That guy. Yeah,
Saint Germain, who was a real person.
Yeah,
did you know that?
I didn't know he was a real person, but I know that he is in the Castlevania games.
Yeah, they like crossed it over.
Yeah. He is a real person that actually was a magician and an alchemist, and he was actually as elusive as they make him out to be in the story.
Yeah.
And he actually went to, what was it, China, and actually told people about toilet paper. So when that guy's like, what the fuck is toilet paper?
That was fucking great. What a great line. What the fuck is toilet paper? And he's so like angry about it too.
What the fuck is?
Oh, it's something from the Orient area.
In the Orient.
Jesus Christ. Leave it to the Europeans to know how to wipe their ass.
Yeah.
I got 2 highlights for my playthrough of Castlevania Symphony of the Night.
What?
There's one part where you fight, I believe, Alucard's mother. Not his mother. I think it's Richter's Belmont's mother. And it turns out she's like a succubus. Or I think it's like some minor character. I think it was Maria, who is like the love interest of that person. And then you basically destroy her, and she turns into a human before dissolving in front of you.
Oh,
and
shit.
It's super emotional.
Yeah, it's like, congratulations, you just murdered someone.
And then the other part is where you're Alucard and you're forced to fight Richter Belmont. And the thing is, if you don't do this 100%, you just kill Richter Belmont, you literally kill him. But if you get the secret item, like your boy, you have these goggles and realize that it's a fucking magician playing a ward as Richter Belmont, and you kill that fucker, and you actually save Richter Belmont at the end of the game.
So there's an alternate ending to this game if you can find the item. What's the item?
I don't remember.
But you have to like locate it on the map.
Yeah, the thing is, all these items, because Castlevania is all about secret items. Oh, I jumped into this abyss. Oh, there's an item here. Cool. I just destroyed this wall. Sick. Full ass turkey. So I think it was like some specific goggles that you have to have, and you have to equip them before you go into the fight. And then it's found out that you're still able to hit Richter Belmont, but if you just hit the wizard, that's when you get the alternate ending.
Fuck.
Yeah.
This is the kind of shit that somebody would just accidentally discover and start and go tell their friends and shit and be like, hey, you got to try this out. It was like, what was that? I think it was a PlayStation game, or maybe it was a GameCube game, where you had to like switch the port for your controller to continue fighting the boss.
Oh, was it Earthbound?
I might have been.
That was on NES or SNES, but
there was one like that, and I was like, that sounds absolutely ridiculous. And who figured that out? Like, they were like, maybe my controller's not working, and just like plugged it into the second one and kept going and didn't realize it.
There's also that
they did shit like that.
Speaking of like those Easter eggs that are just fucking out there, there's also that one from Metal Gear Solid where he scans your PS3 fucking memory card.
Yeah.
And he's like, it seems you play a lot of Castlevania, huh? It's just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, if you had the specific save and you got to, I think, a certain point, he would do that. And it's pretty funny because it's like, it's such a weird fourth wall break with the company itself. It's like releasing all these games.
Konami.
Yeah.
Thank you. What is that fucker's name? What's the guy that made? What's the guy? Thank you, Kojima.
Thank you, Kojima.
Literally every time I can. Thank you, Kojima. It's like thanks, Obama, but hey, can I get a glass of water, dude?
What the
fuck? Yeah, I got you. Thank you, Kojima.
You should make that into a sticker.
Thanks,
absolutely.
Kojima.
Thank you, Kojima. Metroidvania would later become one of the like bigger kind of side-scrolling things. You see it in all your indie titles now. Hollow Knight, Shovel Knight,
yep.
Ori and the Blind Forest, Celeste. Everything is basically a pastiche of what Castlevania Symphony of the Night is because it had so much influence and so much grasp on the balls of the gaming community.
Yeah, everyone fucking loved that game. I don't think it really got any bad reviews unless it was just like one or two games. They were like, what the fuck is this?
It was basically perfect. It was as perfect as
and the music.
Yep. Go look on YouTube for the music and just play through like the whole album for the game or the original soundtrack.
Sounds like our intro.
It does. Yeah. Honestly, yeah. That ours was designed to be really
kind of like that.
Similar to that.
I really love Castlevania the games because like those are my favorite games. Side scrollers that you just beat monsters and find items.
I love side scrollers.
Platforming is super fun to do.
Yeah. I used to play do you guys remember Metal Slug?
Of course.
Fuck yeah. I play that game so much.
Put so many fucking quarters in that machine.
Well, what I did is I had a PSP and they had Metal Slug like 4 or 5 on it. So I just used to carry that around and play it all the time.
That's fucking dope.
Yeah, it's fucking hard. Like I had to just do the infinite life shit so I could even get through like half of the game.
You have to save your bombs.
Yeah.
Because you only have like 3 per level.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
you're just like, I'm about to die. Bomb. The music is available to stream now. It just got available to stream within the last 3 years on Spotify.
Nice.
You got to look under Castlevania Sound Team. And then I know for a fact that 1 through 4, as well as Bloodlines and Symphony of the Night, have releases on vinyl through Mondo Media. I was able to talk to Mo Fashik, the guy who runs the vinyl for Castlevania for Mondo, and he was telling me that he plans to do as many Castlevania games as Konami will let him legally do.
Yo,
so
that's legit.
Vinyl's cool.
I know. I if there's vinyl of anything, I would definitely want it for this.
But you know what is also cool? Our page. No, I'm just kidding.
It's like, yeah, we're gonna start offering that on our website.
Our fucking Patreon.
Just fucking vinyls.
God. But yeah, I mean, there's not much to say. The influence is wide and it appeals to everyone. I shared that meme on my Instagram earlier where it was just like all the knights pointing the sword at Castlevania.
I love that.
And it was just like goth girls, metalheads, horror enthusiasts, old school video game nerds, and fucking fuckboys. It's just like Castlevania brings us all together.
I know exactly what you're talking about. That meme is so fucking dumb.
Vampires are cool.
It's a uniting thing, these vampires.
Yeah. If a girl comes to me and she says, hey, I like Castlevania, I'm just like, sick. When we going on our date?
I haven't heard anyone mention Castlevania recently besides just the TV show. I feel like people haven't played the games in quite a while. And if you try to go and look for one of these games, they're still sold for a pretty high amount. Like one of the like the PlayStation games is still selling for like $80.
First edition Symphony of the Night. How much you think?
Oh, like probably like 100.
400.
Fuck. All right.
But the good news is you could also emulate these things for free.
Totally.
But at the same time, they just released the Castlevania collection for Xbox and PS3.
Yeah.
Which has 1 through 4, I believe. And it has Bloodlines and Kid Dracula, which was a Japanese knockoff game where you play as baby Dracula, destroying little baby dragons and werewolves.
That sounds adorable. I need it.
It was for the Game Boy.
I have a Game Boy.
Did you know that Soulja Boy made a Game Boy? And he called it the Soulja Boy?
No, he didn't.
And then he went to court.
Wait, whoa, no. Back up. Back up. Back up. He tried to make a knockoff?
He was making one of those knockoffs. It's like, hey, my console's going to have up to fucking 500 games built in. It was just an emulator system.
He's doing those things they sell in like Chinatown where you go and you're like, yo, this has like every Pokemon game on it imaginable. You want it for like $50? And I was like, I don't know, man. This seems kind of sketch.
Yeah, this it's not Action Replay. Don't worry.
Fucking Action Replay. Holy shit. I haven't even mentioned that in a while. Just like the cheating like tool to use on everything.
Game Shark?
And Game Shark.
Remember Game Shark?
Yeah, it was Action Replay, Game Shark. I feel like there's one more. I used to just borrow my friends for Pokemon. They're like, what are you getting it for? I'm like, I just need money.
She's like, you know,
I need my rare candies.
That's it. I just would get a bunch of money and then I'd go back to playing it like normal.
She's like, yeah, these 500 Master Balls, all legit.
Oh, right. That's like the same kid who has like a 6 fucking Pokemon crew that's all shiny. They're like, yeah, I totally caught these. It's fine.
Yeah, my 1 in 100,832 chance of me getting a shiny.
I did spend a long time in one of those games trying to get like a shiny version of a Pokemon, but I never got anything.
I saw a stream and a guy was specifically just trying to catch a Koffing, just a regular everyday Koffing. The motherfucker found a shiny and it almost self-destructed on itself.
That would have been great.
He was just like, okay, I'm looking for. Oh my fuck! You just hear like absolute just like noise through the fucking microphone. Just like.
Anyway, I feel like this is a good segue point for the show, Castlevania.
It is. It's currently available on Netflix.
Yes.
And it's a Netflix original, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is not a kid's cartoon.
No.
It is violent. It has a lot of sex, a lot of nudity,
It's very sad.
and it's very sad.
There's not that much sex in it. There really isn't that much sex in it.
There's some boob.
There, like in
There's
the last,
there's
in like the
some
last
boobs.
season, there's a couple. Like
There's
that's
a-
the most sexual the
that's
show
true.
gets. Is
Yeah,
at the very
yeah,
end
for
of the
real.
third season. Other than that, at the very beginning, the closest you get is hearing about people implying they want to bang someone or some guy fucking his goat, which I'll get into later because I love all of that.
Oh my
Anyway.
god.
So the thing was, Castlevania was just one of those franchises by Konami that they know that if they want to make money, they just make a DS game of. But then they realize, hey, we could probably throw a fucking show at Netflix. And with the first season of Castlevania, you could tell that it's a pilot.
It's so good.
It's really good, but the thing is, like, the animation is not as good as compared, and that's what happens with a lot of shows during their first season or first
Oh yeah,
couple
they didn't have that
episodes.
much money behind it.
The animation's great for the first season. I mean, the first season of that show. It's perfect. What are you talking about? You crazy.
In comparison to the other seasons,
I think
though?
that's sort of unfair though, because they had a lot of money by the third season.
very
Yeah.
true.
Yeah. So I mean, I-
For like compare it to like other first seasons of other shows, it's doing pretty good. Like, have you ever seen what is it, Knights of Sidonia on Netflix?
no, I have not actually.
The first season of that, the animation's wonky. It's very weird, like 3D animation.
They did like the cell shading sort of thing,
Yeah,
which
exactly.
Castlevania just doesn't do at all.
No.
It never touch. It just keeps it all one animated.
It looks like almost like the traditional animation where you're like drawing it. It was so close to that,
Mhm.
and I felt like it worked really well for it. I liked it, and I like binge watched that first season so quickly. I watched the first season and then I had to wait for the second, and then I had to wait for the third because I just was like watching them all the way through. There's only like 5 episodes for each one. They're so short.
So the first season's got like 5 to 6.
Yeah.
The second one's 8, and then you got 10 for the third
Yeah.
one. So they're slowly I think they just did a short run of it to get the best quality they could out of that many seasons to see if it caught on. And
Right.
it did.
Yeah, people love it.
Real quick, the first and second seasons adapt the third Castlevania game, Dracula's Curse, as well as Symphony of the Night, and then the second and third still borrow characters and elements from Castlevania Curse of Darkness. It should be noted, though, that in all the Castlevania games, a central plot line is, hey, we should get Dracula back into the world because he's cool and he kills things and I like him and I don't want to fuck him, but you know, humans will always try to resurrect this foo for some reason.
I'm thinking if they continue it, it's when he's gonna make his return because he's pissed off that they're like straight up harassing him after he's just trying to spend time with his wife in hell.
It's like that's the thing with fucking in Symphony of the Night in the beginning. It's like, I must kill you, monster. And it's like, I was called upon by humans. I didn't ask for this.
He really is like, why the fuck are you even here? Get out of my castle.
One more thing to note: it is directed by Adi Shankar, but it is written by Warren Ellis, who Mitch has quite a mouthful to talk about.
He's Warren Ellis is pretty awesome. It's pretty much the reason. I would argue that Warren Ellis is the reason why the show's good. Like, arguably, his writing is really good. His dialogue is unique. You'll never hear the phrase "snake fuckingly," quote unquote, "snake fuckingly" in anything other than something Warren Ellis writes. You will never hear the quote, "God shits in my dinner once again," ever. You will never hear an interesting, intense conversation about a man fucking a goat.
God, that's
It's
so
something
funny.
that Warren Ellis is like not a part of. Like it's great.
Can you give us an example of what other things he's worked on?
So Warren Ellis also wrote a really good comic known as Transmetropolitan, which came out in like the late 90s, ended around like the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Probably about 60 issues. It's probably one of my favorite comic series. So I am heavily biased here, but it's a great, like, it's a really good comic about, you know, like lots of social commentary. It's like cyberpunk is all fuck. And then he also wrote like another book of his I read was Crooked Little Vein. He did another comic series called The Authority. He doesn't do any penmanship. He just writes. He's done a few other books and he does a bunch of blogs. So yeah, no, he's a self-declared humanist, which is heavily evident in this work.
Yeah.
Particularly, just like the idea of the value of human life, that all humans inherently have value, some sort of value. And I think that's explained a lot or explored a lot in this show and whatnot. Like every single person in, like every character is important to the overall plot line.
Yeah, they all have a lot that they're going through for their own story arcs.
Mm-hmm.
Starting with like season 1, you have Dracula in his castle with a bunch of like people spiked in front of his lawn, just like nothing. And he's like super like kind of weirded out that like a human woman is just trying to like step into his life. He's like, do you know what I'm capable of?
Right.
And she like totally falls in love with him.
She's like a scientist.
And it's super cool because like back in those times, scientists were regarded as heresy or heretics. Their science cannot go above the church at all. The church's rule is law. And if you question it, you will be burned at the stake, which is exactly what happens to her.
Yeah. Whack. But also like the most intense curse he gives upon anybody.
That was fucking tight.
It starts off in the country of Wallachia,
Yeah.
Yep.
which is an actual area of Romania.
Oh shit.
So right next to Transylvania.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's where the whole series. If you guys, a little bit of like geographical knowledge on, like it's an actual place that they're.
I did not know that was a real place.
Yes. Yep. Wallachia is a real historical place in Romania.
Oh fuck.
Mm-hmm.
The curse is nuts. Like he gives them 1 year to basically like rid their basically cleanse themselves and like what I don't know what he's like.
He gives them a year to leave Wallachia.
Yeah, he wants them to like leave with their religion because that's pretty much what killed his wife. I'm kind of surprised that he waited a year, but he's got forever.
Well,
so
it's this is another the distaste for religion and how like religious groups are viewed as another humanist trait, as another humanist thing that's explored in this one as well. And that's just kind of evident. It's very evident as like who the writer is as a person too, and whatnot. But yeah, you're kind of really on Dracula's side, and this is what makes him such a compelling character in the show in the first place, is because you're like, he's reasonable. He had just burned his wife at the stake. He's giving you a full year to leave before he slaughters all of you. I'm kind of like, you know what? Yeah, all right, he's all right.
The curse, like when it begins, because the thing is, they're like celebrating. They're like, it's been a year since we've killed the witch. Like nothing's gonna happen. Dracula's a fucking cuck. Like, God is real and he is here, people. And then all of a sudden,
and then there's a massacre.
Let's just be real. It starts raining blood, Slayer style.
Yeah,
and fucking baby demons are just falling from the sky. And I gotta say, this fucking intro, this is like what, the first or second episode? It just fucking wraps you in. You're like, God, this is fucked.
I love that opening episode of Castlevania will make you be like, I'm in.
Yeah,
I'm fully committed to this series
now. Watch the rest of it.
You hear the Gregorian chant at the end of the first episode. You're like, continue.
Will I watch more? Yes.
Yeah. It's like the Netflix shit where it's like, are you still watching?
I think that the first episode really does set the tone for the rest of it. It also it does a good job of setting up Dracula as an easily understood villain. He's kind of got that Thanos complex or that the Joker complex and et cetera, where they're like really good villains.
At first, he was kind of just bored. Like he wasn't really doing anything. He wasn't killing a whole bunch of people. He just wanted to live in his castle.
Yeah, he even says that he stopped staking people a long time ago.
Like
he's bored of it.
Yeah, he didn't care much for it. And then this woman came into his life and it was something completely new. And so he's like, I'm cool with this. But then they go and murder her. And he even says he was trying to live like a man. Like he's walking around. He was like getting food and groceries. And then as soon as he finds out his wife has been killed, he's like, fuck this. He like starts flying and goes and burns the whole village. So he's like, this is really what changes his mood about everything, and then from then on, he's like, "Yep, time to exterminate all humans."
It's another interesting point that's explored in this series as well, and it's explored a little bit with Trevor too, where you have like two sides of how does love affect people.
Right.
So you have like the love that humanizes someone and makes them more aware of who they are as a person, explore themselves more. And then you have the love that completely dehumanizes someone, which is Dracula's case, where his love is taken from him, and so he turns it into a very like abusive and destructive path that he goes down.
Other than love, there's like a giant, I guess you could say, just area of focus with Trevor of lineage and heritage, and just like being a legend within the area.
Yeah, everybody knows the Belmont name.
If you have the sigil, you are an aristocrat, and you are just like a fucked up fucking like hierarchy of person. You are better than everyone that's in the fucking area around you.
An interesting point on that also is if we wanted to bring Bram Stoker's Dracula into how Castlevania and Bram Stoker's Dracula both explore class in different ways. You've got Dracula in Bram Stoker's book is more so like he's a noble. He like feeds off the peasantry essentially, and he kind of basically does whatever he wants. And then you have like nobility for Trevor Belmont, which is honestly kind of a negative stain on him because of how the church has influenced all the people of Wallachia. So they're sort of just like, you brought all this bullshit on us. You've dealt with these people. That's what the common man believes anyway, which is our goat fucker guy who like accuses him of all of this. And that's like your peasant representation.
Yeah. Trevor is also like not your typical fancy aristocrat. He's really vulgar. He's kind of like messy most of the time. He just wants to always wants to drink. He's a drunk. Like he's always looking to get a beer. But he's a really good demon hunter.
Yeah,
like regardless.
He could kick ass at the same time as like he's very vulgar, like you said, and he kicks balls. The dude like literally will just like kick you in the nards to get the upper hand.
Oh yeah, he doesn't fight like fairly or cleanly.
Does not give a fuck. And then we have like Sypha, who is just like
she's great.
Your student style, where she's just trying to figure out herself within the speaker kind of like a hierarchy. She's trying to get up to a point where she's not just doing regular conjuration and like altercation kind of magic. She's trying to fucking like actually have powers and actually do shit and get to that higher point of being a speaker.
I'm glad that she like levels up as the show goes on. She starts doing some crazy magic at some point.
Season 3 Sypha is just fucked, and season 2 Sypha
she's so powerful,
crazy.
It's great.
There's that like season 1, it just goes through and we figure out, you know, Alucard is within there, and he hates his dad.
Oh my god, that's a whole nother thing. We'll get to that.
The same with the thing, like he's in a battle with himself because he is half vampire, half human because of his mother. So he has a thing where he's like, Dad, like these humans don't deserve this, even if they were born like yesterday. Like not all of them deserve to fucking die. At the same time, like I understand our lineage and what we do as vampires. And I even sample a Castlevania quote in the music I make.
Nice.
There was one part where he was like, there are no innocents, not anymore. No one is innocent within this time because of the loss that Dracula has faced.
Yep. Yeah. He's going to be pissed forever.
But Alucard definitely, you know, has some daddy issues. Doesn't want to deal with his dad anymore because he's over it.
That ends up being one of the sadder stories throughout the series when he is just lonely. Alucard is lonely and just wants people to hang out with him. And that couple shows up and just completely betrays him.
Oh, Sumi and Yumi?
Yeah.
The brother and sister from Japan.
Yeah.
Which I already knew they were going to betray him the minute they came on screen.
Whack.
It's another going back to that aspect of love dehumanizing someone, how it can both humanize and dehumanize somebody. At the end, at that point, Alucard becomes very much like his father at the very end.
Spears them in front of his castle.
Yep.
Impales them.
Glorious. If we go back to season 2... and you have one of the most tragic moments and probably one of my favorite parts of the Castlevania series, which is where Dracula and Alucard are fighting.
Yeah.
And he's like throwing Alucard through walls and like all these walls. He's doing all the boss fight moves he could ever do, ever. And then he beats him into like his childhood room.
Yeah.
And then, like, that's when Dracula breaks down. It's just like, I'm killing my boy right now. This is my son that I'm murdering. And it's this really tragic, like gothic real. It's like the most goth thing you could have thrown in there. it's so like death is the answer now. What am I doing?
Right. He wants to go see his wife, so he's like, fuck it.
Season 2 hits you differently from Season 1. Season 1 is like, okay, we're going to go on an adventure. We're going to kill some shit. This is sick. Season 2 is like, bam, sadness. Bam, death. Bam, fuck you and everything you thought.
Yeah. I mean, it has season 2's got
the vampire aristocrats.
Yeah, he's got all the politics, which is what I was going to bring up as well. So there's a lot of politics and all their backstabbing and stuff like that.
They're going to live forever. They don't want to get stuck with someone.
And I got to say, the two of my favorite characters, the Forge Masters, dude.
Yeah, they're tight.
Isaac and Hector. Yep.
Although Hector's a little cuck. But Isaac. I'm thinking of the right people, right? Isaac is like the black dude.
Yeah, he's the bald one.
Yeah, fuck yeah, that guy's awesome. I love that dude. The other guy, what the fuck? What the fuck? He spends half the show in shackles, and then when he's finally able to escape, he ends up being like a little bitch.
Well, Carmilla does it to him.
Come on, dude.
She kind of does, though.
I was like,
they like Stockholm syndrome that guy.
Yeah, pretty hard.
They treat him pretty awfully.
And then they like put a ring on him where he gets stuck, and then he just can't like. It gets wild. But yeah, those guys are they're awesome. I like that Isaac keeps going around and being like, I need to give humans a chance. Like, they need to be given a chance. And then somebody just like wrongs him, and he's like, nope, fuck it, I'm gonna kill them all.
It's always Isaac always wants to be better, and then he just can't. Like, the world won't
like
let him be better.
5 times where someone just tries to mug him, and he's like,
are we really like again?
Yeah.
He's
again?
Like, I wanted to give humans a chance, and you were the first example. Looks like you are going to be turned into one of my army. What did you fucking say?
Yo, but his attack on that tower,
that was fucking awesome.
So cool. One of the coolest scenes in probably the whole series, because he expends like all of the energy he can to get to the top of the tower to kill I don't know, a wizard. I don't really know what he is. He's like a necromancer, maybe.
Yeah, he's a necromancer from Diablo 2.
Yep.
But the thing is, he meets an old Forge Master from the previous town over, who tells of the tale of, there were a lot of people that used to live in this town.
Oh, the old lady.
But the magician came and he made them slaves, and the slaves on their symbolism, they have the crown of thorns all upon them.
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about the hive mind, hive mind zombies at the end of that series. Jesus. See, I just recently watched it, so I remember the big plot points, but I forget that fight. That fight's amazing.
Yeah,
holy shit. I'm sorry, my reaction, delayed reaction.
He has to charge in there to reach the tower.
The giant ball of people.
Yeah, it's trying to grab him and everything.
And he ends up killing the main mind and bringing the whole thing down.
Yeah.
It was so sick because there was that time where he's about to kill the dude, and the dude literally puts the crown of thorns on him, and you're like, oh, this is fucked.
Yeah, he's done.
And then he fucking deflects it with his blade and is able to actually apprehend the guy. And the guy's clothes fall right off.
Yeah.
Like all his robes and shit. And then
he needed more bodies for an army, so that's why he went and killed this guy, because I'm about to take his army.
They didn't want to burn the town down either. They wanted to either leave it as like a base or a monument to everything that he's fucking doing.
Yeah.
He is trying to get an army from hell to basically get revenge on the vampires that in season 2 basically betrayed him, because with the politics in season 2, we get a lot of vampires from a lot of different areas that are trying to flesh out Dracula's plan.
I love that they're all just trying to kill each other.
That's
the whole time
shit.
through.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like they don't like the idea of murdering all the humans because that's their food source to them. Yeah, so they don't think that what he's doing is the right. They're just like, he's just killing himself, really. It's the world's longest suicide note ever, basically.
Godbrand is a name that comes up a lot. A lot of fans like him because he's dumb and horny.
The guy who's just like, he looks beastly. Like, he's got all this hair and he's got the big teeth.
He's like Scottish, I think.
He's like,
he sounds Scottish.
Yeah.
He's like trying to eat at the same time he's trying to fuck.
God, that's so funny.
I want to fuck. I want to come at the same time. I want to eat. Like, you're just like, you could do one, bud. You can't do both at the same time.
He's hilarious. I loved him in the show.
And his death. Isaac is a true homie.
Yeah, for real.
Because he figures out that Godbrand is having a plan to overthrow him. And that's when Isaac comes through with the giant stab in the heart and throws his ashes within the winds.
Yeah. Fuck. Yeah. That's like, that ends up being pretty important because he was pretty committed to Dracula up until a little bit after that when he realizes that they just weren't going to use him anymore. And him and Hector have their own dilemma where they want to go their separate ways, but they feel like they should stay together because they pretty much grew up together.
You want to like root for Isaac, but he's doing terrible things. At the same time, you want to root for Hector, but a little bit less.
I definitely rooted for Isaac all the way through.
Yeah, the thing is, like, with Hector, he was, like, born a Forge Master. He was able to reanimate the cats that he killed. Which,
yeah.
Side note, in horror, we all know this. If you're a serial killer, you kill cats when you're young.
Small animals.
I think his other animals got killed by other people a lot of the time. They were his pets, and that's why he would bring them back, because other people would kill his pets.
Maybe
another example of love demonizing somebody in the show. Even in Isaac's, the man that he loves, like, just continues to beat him. Another example. Another, like, it's all over this fucking series. It's crazy.
There's a big part that plays into this series with the Attack Umbrella, where they're trying to figure out the way to stop the castle from moving from area to area because it could teleport. And Sypha and Trevor go into the old Belmont hold where they have all the secrets and all the magical fucking items from Symphony of the Night to be able to use against the
he gets like a
army.
Flail.
The Morning Star.
Morning Star.
Which is like the coolest thing.
Which he could fucking make demons explode with
just a touch.
With just a touch.
I love in the first season where he uses the whip and it blows stuff up, and he's just like, by the way, the whip's consecrated, and that's like the only explanation he ever needed. And the show is just kind of thrown in there, like, oh yeah, by the way,
don't worry about it.
And it's like, it's so well done that I'm not even mad. Like, it's so great how it's just in there because you never see it come out for like anything like undead ever until it's first used, and then it explains why.
Yeah.
The action scenes within this are incredible.
Oh god, yes.
They mirror the game so much with the magic that Sypha uses, where she uses ice and fireballs and like basically gusts of like fire to project herself.
Yeah, that shit's cool.
Season 3, they had that thing where fucking Saint Germain was in like a weird glass shield, and she like made it like collapse on each other to chop some dude's arm off.
Oh, that's right. She was trying to protect him with like ice. Nuts.
And then like creatures in fucking Castlevania games explode when you get the upgraded whip always. So like this super animation, because the thing is with Trevor Belmont, he always like has it around his leg and he kicks it up, throws it around, it fucking ricochets off shit and just explodes everything in fucking sight. The action here, they use like NPCs and mobs from the games for the undead. So like when I was watching the first season, I saw the first 2 mini bosses within this working together like they do in Symphony of the Night, and I was just fucking coming everywhere, dude. And then they take over the castle in season 2 when they do the reprise of fucking Bloody Tears with an orchestra. It's so cool. Alucard turns into a wolf. Sypha literally grabs someone's head and just blasts it off with fire. It's a great scene, and like that is probably one of the most memorable scenes in season 2.
Yeah, that fight where they fight all the vampire generals in the castle.
Yeah, they get fucking wiped too.
They get wrecked. They wreck them like so hard. It's so good.
I thought that going back to season 3 with the Sumi and Yumi with how they like explained how their vampire general worked. She was not a part of like the official Chinese, or was it Japanese or Chinese government?
Japanese.
Yeah,
they were under like this vampire lord who was
sounds like an empire.
But nobody knew that she was a vampire. So they would have hard like
guys who come to duel her,
fucking warriors, right, who have killed hundreds to face her, and she would just fucking desecrate them within minutes.
Usually eat them afterwards.
Just have her entire empire just watch.
Yeah, and nobody could leave. That was like the biggest thing.
And that's why it sets up for the betrayal, because they're so afraid of the politics that happen within their own empire. They don't want that shit to repeat. So they're going to Alucard to get like information, things to kill vampires. And he's like, well, perfect. My house is literally in front of the Belmont Hold, which I think is fucking awesome that the Belmont Hold becomes his basement.
Right.
Essentially, it's like, yeah, these two families that have been pitted against each other for generations are coming together because they're friends and they don't want to fucking fight anymore.
Right.
They just want to live together in peace and harmony.
And then he almost gets killed. But
after he gets fucked.
Yo, good for them for having a bisexual sexual scene for them.
It really surprised me. I didn't think they were going to go there.
I didn't either, actually. I thought that they were just going to kind of hint at it, but then they were like, nope, we're going to have a threesome right now.
That's definitely...
It's kind of weird because they're brother and sister.
That's what weirded me out, too.
Yeah,
I was like, they're siblings. What's going on?
I mean, I'm not going to attribute it to my man Warren Ellis over here, but that's totally something that he would write. Some like taboo shit. This dude, all right. Like, Warren Ellis wrote an entire scene in one of his books that involves Godzilla Bukake.
Oh,
Two things you never thought would be together in one thing.
I'm in.
So
there
what,
you go.
You just die?
It's just, he describes it as a man, like, and there's a guy jerking off with a lizard glove in the theater that he's in because he's a private investigator and he's following a case in this book, and then he, like, has to go to, like, he follows the guy to, like, a weird jerk-off movie, basically.
So
it's such a weird fucking book. Anyway, so I'm not surprised this was in here. Like, I was like, when is weird sex stuff gonna happen? I mean, this is Warren Ellis. Like, when is weird shit gonna happen?
He also did not tell them everything. He didn't tell them about his magical sword, which was what saved him.
Yep.
Comes to his aid and kills both of them, and he cuts them to ribbons and then fucking impales them outside his castle.
Yeah, and cries.
Yeah,
more.
He's so upset, and then he's just like, well, time to do what my dad did and start impaling people.
Which the magic sword is a familiar within the games as well. It follows you, and it actually cuts people up.
Yep.
But what I thought was very, very powerful about that scene was Hector was also fucking at that same time. You get the cuts in between both of these sex scenes.
Oh, when he's
fucking the vampire chick that's like super into him, quote unquote.
She is like ruthless.
The vampire sisters are nuts.
Yeah, dude. They're all.
I love them.
Yeah,
they're great.
They're like, well, if we get more troops, we could get more troops, but we'll like lose our food. And it's just like, no. That plan's not gonna fucking work.
I like that they had.
Let's like station all the communities over here so that we can just we'll just have them breed like cattle over there, and then we'll just collect them.
Because the funny thing about humans is you leave them safe for about 2 minutes and they get fucking.
Yeah, that's like the actual line. They're like basically saying they fuck like rabbits, and they're just like, it's okay, we'll have a lot of humans in a little bit, because they're gonna be there for fucking ever, and they're hilarious. They have like a fucking cabinet that has blood in it, and it's just like specialty wines that they have in the cabinet, and they're just constantly drinking out of a goblet. I'm like, this is really funny. And it's all women. Like, it's this cool women council of vampires that are just all ruthless and all want their own things. Like the girl who takes control of Hector, she like has him as like her plaything.
Yeah, because Hector was a slave who was forced to walk 400 miles with the dead army that failed at Brela. Also, that kill scene at Brela, dude, where they get the speaker to fucking bless the holy water.
Yeah.
And they destroy, like, all of the army.
Yeah, that was
nuts.
Great.
But Hector is basically in shackles, comes through, and is, like, basically a puppy to this chick because he is powerless.
God, what is her
can't
name?
do shit.
Do you know what her name was?
I'll look it up.
Was it Camille?
Camilla is the main one, the one that we saw from season 2.
Carmella?
Carmella.
Yes. That's right. It was Carmella.
Did the taboo murdered her vampire master?
Yeah, she was like, fuck this dude.
Yeah.
We have, what is it? Her name is Lenore, I believe.
Oh.
And then we have Marana, the strategist, and Striga, the military member.
Striga's great because she's just a giant woman.
Super
she is
deep
the
voice.
Amazon.
Yeah, deep ass voice.
In Mother Russia, we crush your face. That's what they do.
But with
like
season
dice.
3, it's kind of like drawn out over the whole season. Like, there's a cult that's trying to resurrect Dracula, just like in the games.
Yep.
And they have a fucking demon within there that could open the gates to hell.
Yeah, and they get real fucking close.
And that priest dude or the mayor that runs the town, fucking weirdo.
The guy who was like killing kids.
Yeah, he sets up traps under the apple tree for children. Like, and he mentions it early on, and they don't find out until after it's over that he did that.
Yeah, he was basically like making them run over.
Yeah, he was basically doing that, and so at the end you're like, who's worse, like the leader, the mayor of this town, or the fucking cult leader that's like bringing Dracula back? Like, who's worse here?
Probably the mayor.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Like,
that's why Cypher's just like, I just want to leave this fucking place.
Yeah,
right
exactly.
now.
They're just like, I'm over all of this. Can we just not? Let's just not.
Season 3 is really lonely because but it's not, because Sypha and Trevor, they have a relationship.
Yeah, they form a pretty good relationship.
They work together. Like, oh, you're just gonna be a fucking drunk that fights people. Go for it. Whatever. I'll be over here being smart and sophisticated.
Well, they enjoy killing demons together.
It's super sick.
They think about like settling down for a moment, and they're like, "But like the adventure," and so they're like, "Yeah, let's fucking go." And they decide to leave because they got too used to being on the road, like in their wagon and shit,
and the experience,
yeah,
the armor and the secret items. Duh.
Great.
And I feel like it's a stark contrast to Alucard, who's so fucking lonely that he makes dolls of his friends.
It makes me...
After 1 month.
Oh, that's true.
I love that. He has them talk and shout shit at each other. Oh, it's so funny. I love it.
I like that he's there drinking his wine and eating a meal while they're doing that. I forget that because he's half human, he can actually eat. Like, he probably doesn't have to eat that often, but he can still eat regular meals.
Yeah, he like has a garden.
Yeah.
And he hunts.
Goes and cooks stuff.
It's very, like you said, it brings human to a character that isn't really all that human.
Yeah. Well, he's like stuck in between, so he has to constantly be like dealing with that.
Yeah.
So my question is, where do you think we're going to go with season 4, though?
Well, Dracula's definitely going to come back. And then he's probably going to come back and find his son. My guess is that his son's going to be pissy just like him, and he's going to be like, oh, you know what? It's time to bring you into the family. And they're going to go on a rampage. And then Sypha and Trevor are going to have to stop him. I think that's what's going to happen.
Season 3 is going to have...
Season 4.
Season 4. Whoa.
Yep.
Yeah.
Season 4 is going to have Carmela's military action going into play with all of her Hector nonsense. And then you've got Isaac, who's going to come up to probably fight them with all of his nonsense.
Right.
So then you're going to have the battle of the two, like...
Forge
Masters. Dracula might come back.
Maybe at the end.
Maybe at the end of season 4. I don't think that'll be the main focus of season 4, though. I think they're ramping up everything.
Right.
I think that what season 3 showed is that Dracula could be brought back. It's a possibility, and that there might be another character working on it.
Oh, okay.
I think that's what it established anyway.
And they use the mirrors to like look upon each other, as well as like portals within different dimensions. There was one part where Saint Germain has a nightmare, and he sees a literal robot in his fucking dream. That shit weirded me out.
I totally forgot about that.
He was like having psychedelic dreams about it, and he's like, God, I remember I would just like fucking not care for sleep, and now all I want is some fucking sleep.
This makes me think about how I really liked the voice actors for all of the characters. They're all so unique. And I felt like the voice for Belmont was like perfect.
Richard Armitage?
Yeah, like holy shit.
Yeah. Kills it every time.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed like all the voice acting for this show. I thought they did a really good job. Like with something like this, it gets compared to anime a lot.
Yeah, that's fair.
Which is fair. Yeah, which is fair. But I feel like what sets this show apart from a lot of things that take the similar animation style and maybe even like do the we hunt monsters, we kill the bad guys sort of thing is they just, I don't know if their dialogue is going to be as unique or it's going to be as like samey, as Castlevania has its own thing. And that is, I largely believe it's just because Ellis is writing it. Like, I don't think that if he wasn't involved, I don't think it would be as good or as interesting.
Probably not.
No. I don't know. Unless maybe if they got like somebody else that really liked the source material. It seems like he really does like the source material a lot.
I do have to say I am surprised that it was like him, like just him.
Yeah.
Like he's the sole writer on it, and because that's a lot of content and a lot of things to keep juggling. I would have expected like a writer's room.
So many
for something
fucking
like
twists.
Yeah, but I think it's good that it's coming from one person because then you get one solid, like there is no opinions on oh, we should do something different with this character because it would improve our
commits.
viewership. He's just like, nope, I'm fucking making this.
Yeah.
What up, J.J. Abrams and Ryan Johnson?
Oh,
Yeah, whoa, we calling you out.
are you talking about the new Star Wars movie?
Shh.
Bruh,
Please, let's go over this segment.
barely
as fast as
anybody
possible.
knows who Ellis is, and he's doing better than you.
Good shit.
Bruh.
Oh man,
Bruh.
that's fucking great.
He's doing better than Martin, too.
I think-
Actually completes his shit.
I think season
Ooh.
4 is
Anyway.
going to be the big battle with both Forge Masters.
Yeah.
I think they're going to get what they both expected. I think Hector is going to actually win. At the same time, Isaac is actually going to see a good amount of people die.
Yeah.
I think-
Totally.
They're going to have what they both want fulfilled, but with Dracula coming back, it's going to both be meaningless.
I feel like that's accurate.
And I feel like
it'll probably go out to like 5 or 6 seasons.
honestly, the fact that it keeps getting greenlit is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I'm excited and I'm happy that Castlevania is in
Man,
such a state.
it was like when they made The Witcher and they were done. They're like, yeah, so we're gonna make like 3 more seasons of this because it was just so good for the first season.
They have so much source material
Yeah.
to work off of that they can make something good out of it.
Totally.
I think.
hell yeah.
Hell yeah, Castlevania.
So, what would you guys rate the series?
As a fan, it's just good out of 10.
Yeah, I'll give it a 10 too. Fuck it. I'm a fanboy for Warren Ellis, like, and I love the animation stuff. There's too many good things to be said about the series. It's just fucking dope. It's just good.
It's made by people who love it.
This is as of season 3. So season 4, he could fuck up. You know, he's old. The old people fuck up all the time. You know, it could be trash after this.
What up,
But so
Ernie?
far, it's fucking. I love it. It gets my seal of approval. Easy.
I agree. I would give it a 10 because while I was watching it, I liked every piece of it, and it had a lot of good pieces. So it had really good music, really good voice acting. The writing is good. It's not like weak writing in any sense. Like they're usually getting at something pretty deep with most of these things. And then the animation wasn't like fucking god awful. So I was like, this is really cool. I liked all the action scenes.
There's one scene I have to mention though, which is the scene where the demon walks into the church with the priest there.
Oh,
Your God doesn't love you, but we love you. Because without you, we wouldn't be here.
I love that.
And then let me give you a kiss.
Rips them apart.
A demon in the house of God. This is but a room with 4 walls.
Yeah.
The thing is, Castlevania takes giant horror elements
Yeah.
and just pushes it to the extreme within demons and religion symbolism. And it has done that within its games. Whether you were a kid in the 80s, frustratingly fucking throwing your NES controller because you fucking hate that platforming part, or if you're just a fucking 32-year-old adult just being like, hey, I want to check out this show on Netflix. The horror influence is vivid, and it's here to stay within the series always.
And I think one of the best parts is you don't have to have played the games to enjoy the Netflix
Nope.
series.
You could
I've
just- yeah.
I've honestly never played a single Castlevania game. I just know about them and whatnot, and I enjoyed the series immensely.
It's true. You can pick up the series. It gives you enough of what you need to know at the beginning.
I will say, if you are interested within the games, Konami released the Castlevania, basically like game pack.
Yeah.
It has about 7 or 8 games of Castlevania within it. If you're trying to follow the story of the show, play 3 and play Symphony of the Night.
Yep.
But it should also be noted that, do you guys know about Bloodstain?
No.
Bloodstain Ritual of the Night?
That's the other Castlevania game, right?
No, so what happened was, similar. Koji Igarashi kicked out of Konami. Basically was just like, I was the person who made Symphony of the Night. Your most acclaimed fucking title for you, Kojima. Like,
Why did he get fired?
they just didn't have any. They didn't want to make more Castlevania games.
Oh, wow.
There's like, you were basically just making DS games.
Oh, so he was like, cool,
He was
so I
like-
can make another one, but not Castlevania.
So he crowdfunded
Hell
a
yeah.
video game called Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. Got so much money that they made fucking a second game, 8-bit version that is basically the NES version of Castlevania 1 but better.
Fuck.
Called it's called Bloodstained Curse of the Moon. And like that game is fucking intense. I played both of these games. Bloodstained Ritual of the Night is very like modern. It is 3D graphics. You have all this kind of stuff. There's an overarching story. It's made with love. It's made with love. The 8-bit version is just a throwback, just like, hey, remember that 8-bit and 16-bit games that you loved? Well, basically, I have a lot of fucking money and I want to make something fun. Here you go.
How do you play these? Like what consoles?
Xbox, PS3, or PS4, fucking PC.
Oh, okay.
Anywhere that you could play a fucking video game. I don't know if they are on the Switch. Both of them are on the Switch as well.
Shit.
What's it called? Bloodlines?
Bloodstained.
Bloodstained. I remember I read about this.
Ritual of the Night and fucking Curse of the Moon. What happened was he wanted to just make Ritual of the Night, but he got so much extra money and he was just like, fuck it, I'm going to make a second game and I'm going to add boss modes. I'm going to add an extended storyline. I'm going to add 35 different fucking sprites. I'm going to add all this fucking shit.
It's available on the Switch, PS4, Xbox One, and it's also on PC. Microsoft Windows as well.
Hell yeah.
So go get it.
Yeah, go try it.
If you want to try out a modern retro Metroidvania game like this.
Music is also done by the same person who did Symphony of the Night. So all the music is phenomenal within the series. And it's definitely just like a throwback to everyone who likes those style of games. And if you're picking it up for the first time, you will have a good time. The RPG elements as well as the platforming and just killing, super satisfying.
All right, cool. Do you guys have any other final thoughts before we go?
That's it.
Follow our fucking Patreon.
Yeah, follow our Patreon. Pay us. That's it.
I need money for Magic.
Yeah, I need money for Magic as well.
Mana Crypts ain't cheap, bro.
I have many expensive massages that I must attend.
Shush.
Many massages. Anyway, so and now that I've broken John, he'll do what he does at the end of most of our episodes.
Woo. All right. Well, before I let everybody go, I just want to remind everybody we're super easy to find in all the streaming services. Pretty much anywhere that you can stream a podcast, you can find our podcast. Just look for Bringing Down the Grindhouse. You can Google it. You can find our website, or you can go to bdtghpodcast.com. or go to BDTGH_podcast on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, and you can find all of our content there. You can leave us messages, send us direct messages or emails if you want for suggestions. We're always hoping for our fans to reach out to us, and then, of course, if you can, support our Patreon and leave us some good reviews on the Apple Podcast so that we can get more easily seen on the website and we get a higher rating. But thanks so much for coming out to talk with me. I hope you guys have a good night.
I'm Mitch.
I'm Mur, and I need money for a fucking doubling season.
And I'm Jonathan. Thank you.